Let's talk to Dennis Reed, director of Silver Voices, a group that campaigns on behalf of over 60s. Dennis, great to have you with us this afternoon. Thanks very much indeed for coming on. Suspect you might have a slightly different perspective on this to me, or maybe not. Afternoon.
Good afternoon. Well, I think what you said, Ben, was a travesty of the truth. I mean, it was an outrageously biased comment about the triple lock. I think what you have to remember, and those opponents of the triple lock, is that the basic state pension in our country is one of the lowest in the developed world. And the basic state pension for most of us is £169.50 a week, even with the triple lock. Now, I would challenge you, if that is your only source of income to live in the current world,
Yes,
with all the price increases, on that sort of money.
but Dennis,
And
no,
another,
no,
and
I'm not.
another
That's not
thing,
what I'm saying at all. I'm saying those that do have other sources of income, significant income, they don't need the triple lock. The people that you're talking about, I would agree with you completely. They need more money than they're getting right now.
yeah, well, that's many millions of older people.
Sure,
And
absolutely.
the other fallacy, which you just repeated there, is that somehow or other this is a gift, this is a benefit for older people. You are paying now national insurance so that when you get older,
Yeah.
you will get the state pension, just as you may be putting into a private pension pot. So it's completely outrageous to suggest that people have paid in all their lives through national insurance shouldn't get the state pension.
But no,
It's
again, Dennis, who's suggesting no people who've paid in shouldn't get the state pension? Kemi Badenoch's not. I'm not.
Of course
Respectfully,
you are.
you're completely misinterpreting what we're saying. I have never said that people who pay in shouldn't get a pension. People who
You're
have paid
saying
in all their life should get a pension.
you're saying
There's
you're saying it should get means tested,
no,
which
no, no,
will
no,
be
no, 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 no. She is saying, and I'm agreeing with her, that the triple lock should be means tested. So people would still get a pension. It just wouldn't be guaranteed that they'd get at least 2% more, 2.5% more every single year. That's what she's saying.
well, that's a ridiculous statement as well. All the triple lock does is keep the state pension in line with the cost of living. So of course you're reducing the state pension if you're not implementing the
It
triple lock.
doesn't, because if the cost of living is lower, if the inflation is lower than 2.5%, then the pension goes up by more than living costs have gone up.
We're talking about pennies here when you're only on £169.50 a week. 2% of not very much is not very much. So you really are sort of splitting hairs here.
But £45 billion pounds a year
Badenoch's got it
is
completely
not
wrong.
pennies.
You've got it completely wrong. The triple lock should be here to stay. Both major parties agreed in their manifestos that the triple lock should stay for the whole of this parliament. Why it's being stoked up now after 6 months of the new government, I really don't know.
Well, Dennis, why are very, very wealthy pensioners who might have a significant income from property investments or dividends or whatever income source they have, why should they be a priority for limited resources in a country right now where, for example, 1 in 3 children live in poverty? Or if you want to talk about older people, as I said, 1 in 6 elderly people live in poverty. Why not give them a lot more so they're not in poverty and use the money that you would save by not giving millionaires more in their pensions every year? Isn't that
Oh,
fair?
this is a really old chestnut. The Sir Jim Ratcliffes and the Sir Mick Jaggers and all these people.
Yeah.
There are huge numbers of people who don't fall into that category. The whole argument is based on a few billionaires. Now, those billionaires should be taxed properly as it is,
It's not a few.
rather than
It's not.
rather than taking away their state pension.
There
If they
are.
want if they want to donate it to somebody, then fair enough. But you can't base a whole argument on a few millionaires.
It's not a few millionaires. There's a lot of people. I think. Can we not agree? There are a lot of people who get
Well,
the state
tax them
pension.
properly then.
And
Tax them properly
Dennis, there are a lot of people right now who get the state pension that goes up by at least 2.5% every single year, who don't rely on it, who don't need it because they've already got a lot of money. Those are the people that Kemi Badenoch is talking about, saying, look, they still paid in, they should still get a pension, fine, but they don't need to get more and more every single year.
No, I don't agree with that at all. I'm saying to
You
you,
think millionaires should get more and more from the state every
takes
single
into
year?
account the cost of living. And quite often it doesn't take into account the cost of living as far as the basics are concerned. You know, the food prices are far higher than what we get through the triple lock. and older people depend more
but
on food as part of their budget.
But respectfully, the people we're talking about, they're the people who are not particularly affected by rising living costs because they've got big incomes or big savings. That's the people we're talking about. You keep bringing it back to pensioners in poverty. Nobody is saying pensioners who need the money and rely on it should get less. I'm not. Kemi Badenoch's not.
I don't believe that's the case. This will be used to take the triple lock away from millions and millions of older people, just like means testing the winter fuel payment meant that 10.5 million pensioners, using the same arguments that you're using, 10.5 million pensioners no longer get the winter fuel payment when they need it. That's exactly the same as what you're saying.
Do you think that millionaires should get the winter fuel payment?
Well, yes, because it's a universal payment. If you want to get more money off them, then they should do it through the tax system.
So working age people that are desperately struggling with their bills right now and don't get state support should have to pay for multi-millionaire pensioners to get winter fuel payments.
Well, that's a rubbish argument. It's
absolutely what's happening now, or at least what you want to continue, Dennis.
I think you ought to look at yourself and look at the example of the winter fuel payment. Mm-hmm. Do you agree then that it was right to means test the winter fuel payment?
I've said this many times. Yes to that question. I think Dennis, I think the government has got it badly wrong.
Dennis, that's where you're coming from.
Dennis, if you'd let me finish what I was saying, the government has got it. The government has got it badly wrong in how they've set the bar far too low. I have no issue with them taking away the winter fuel payments from wealthy people. The problem is they're taking it away from people who are far from wealthy. And that's why I would agree with you. They've got this one wrong.
Well, they've got it far wrong, haven't they? Because 10.5 million people lost it who needed it.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean they shouldn't take it away from millionaires. Even Kemi Badenoch last night was saying she'd support that.
All right, then. If I agreed with you, on the winter fuel payment, for example, we suggested that the cut-off point for the winter fuel payment, if you had to have a cut-off point, would be at the higher rate of tax. Do you agree that the triple lock...
You've just told me that millionaires should continue to get it.
Well, yes, if it's a universal payment, they will continue to get it. But you could talk about people who are on the higher rate of tax maybe not needing it as much.
Yes.
I accept that.
Okay.
But what your argument means that most people will lose it. That's what it means.
No, I'm not saying most people should lose it.
Yes, well, how many should lose
Dennis,
it then?
Please don't tell me what I'm saying, because you're not, with respect, you're not actually listening to what I'm saying. You're just shouting at everything I'm saying. What I'm saying is that those who are above a certain threshold, that could be 500,000, it could be 1 million, it could be very, very high, I don't think they should continue to get it. But we have got to leave it there. Dennis, thank you very, very much indeed for coming on, making your point powerfully. A lot of people will agree with it, a lot of people won't. Let's get into that in just a moment.